Welcome to Purposely Peaceful. I'm your host, Jessica Rivera, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a quantum hypnosis practitioner. This podcast is where real life meets inner peace. You'll get honest conversations, practical tools, and soulful guidance to help you live with more clarity, calm, and purpose. Let's dive in. In this episode, we're talking about the core beliefs that are quietly but powerfully running the show. And trust me, this is one of the most important pieces of transforming your life into a peaceful one. We'll explore where core beliefs come from, why they matter, especially for anyone seeking lasting inner peace, how to recognize that they're influencing your behavior, and how to shift them so they support the life that you actually want. What are core beliefs, really? Core beliefs are deeply rooted ideas that we hold about ourselves, others, and the world around us. Most of the time, we don't even realize they're there, but they shape how we interpret our experiences, how we make decisions, and what we believe we're worthy of. These beliefs are like a lens to see the world through. They are always running in the background, coloring our expectations, reactions, and sense of identity. So where do they come from? Our core beliefs often start in childhood. We absorb them from the environment around us without anyone needing to say a word. Think about how your parents or caregivers viewed themselves or the world. Were they critical, anxious, confident, loving, fearful? You likely absorbed some of that energy, whether it was ever talked about or not. For example, my mom and some of my aunts were always a little anxious. A lot of times I would say they were just on edge, ready to be scared. As a kid, I internalized that. I didn't know it, but I was already picking up on beliefs about fear and safety and uncertainty. Then we go to school and things escalate. We learn what gets rewarded, what gets punished. We learn how shame works. We learn to fit in at all costs. By middle school, we're dressing alike, thinking alike, and doing whatever it takes not to be the odd one out. When we're in school, it does shape the way that we become because we learn a lot about ourselves during that period of time. And this leads me to a different part of how the mind works. The mind has the capacity to be programmed. Being programmed doesn't sound positive, but when I was learning quantum healing hypnosis technique, there's a part where Dolores Cannon says that watching TV is actually the first stage of hypnosis. Think about that. So when we're watching TV, what is something we've seen a lot over the course of our lives? Ketchup ads, toilet paper ads, soda ads. You're constantly seeing ads for them. These ads aren't random, they're for a purpose. When I said ketchup, maybe there's a brand that popped into your head without even trying. That's the power of suggestion. So when I'm in an aisle of 50 different ketchups, which one am I most likely to choose? And when I was on autopilot, I know exactly which one I would choose. And now I look for different qualities in my ingredients. That changes what I choose. I use this example because it's so simple, but I really want to highlight here the power of suggestion. Our brains are absorbing everything around us all the time, and it really starts the moment that we're born. Hypnosis shows us how incredibly powerful the subconscious is. The subconscious mind is a recording machine. I've witnessed this in sessions where people recall vivid memories, not just from this life, but from past lives. And with so much clarity, it's like reading a script. Science tells us that we only use 5% of our conscious mind. The other 95%? That's the subconscious. To me, that means that our minds are capable of recording every single moment of our lives. And here's the wild part. The subconscious wants you to heal. That's why you have triggers. That's why life pulls you out of autopilot with unexpected challenges. It's not punishment. It's an invitation. So how do we know that core beliefs are running the show? Here's a personal example. In 10th grade, I moved to a new city and I started at a new school. After a few months, a girl that I had become friends with said to me, "When I first met you, I didn't like you. You seem stuck up, but I know you now and you're cool." At the time, I laughed it off, didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently some part of me held on to that. And I had heard comments similar to that before, and so here, a new doubt crept in. If people keep thinking that about me, maybe they're right. From there, a belief was born. I must come off as unlikable. It followed me into adulthood. I'd second guess first impressions. If I thought someone was avoiding me, even without evidence, I believed it. Or better yet, I assumed it. Because that belief was formed in fear. to solve this belief that I had, I either had to overcompensate or it just shut down. Even now, after years of healing, that belief still shows up sometimes. But the difference is I have tools now. And here's what I remind myself of. I mean well. I never intentionally try to be rude. I'm allowed to feel peaceful without having to prove it. How others perceive me is none of my business. And I sincerely wish people well. That's my truth. And when the old beliefs try to take over, I come back to that and I remind myself. Beliefs are complex. Here's the thing, multiple beliefs can exist at once. Even in that example, I'm also kind, thoughtful, and genuinely care about others. So while part of me feared being disliked, another part of me wanted to connect, to help, to make an impact. Both were true. The question is, which one gets to lead? My truth or my fear? And now I want to switch gears a little bit. If you're wondering if core beliefs come from past lives, I want to say yes, I believe they can. Through hypnosis work, I've seen it again and again. Not all beliefs were formed in this lifetime. Some go way back to past lives, ancestral trauma, or energetic imprints we carry forward. For example, I've worked with people who have had strong feelings of low self-worth, but nothing in their current life could explain it, not their childhood or their relationships or anything that they've ever been told. It was like they were born with it. Their earliest memories are of low self-worth, and through hypnosis, we've been able to uncover where that belief began, in a life long before this one. That kind of awareness brings freedom. Just because a thought or belief shows up doesn't mean it's true. Sometimes it's just a whisper from your past asking to be healed. So how do core beliefs affect our lives? Let's take a common example. A lot of people fall into being a people pleaser. They say yes when they want to say no. They overextend themselves to avoid conflict or rejection. They confuse love with sacrifice. That's a belief at work. It might sound like I'm only lovable when I'm useful, or if I say no, they'll leave. I see this all the time in my work. But here's the truth. Loving yourself means understanding how you feel and making decisions from that place. If you don't know your beliefs, you can't reclaim your peace. So let's discuss how we begin to shift our core beliefs. And here's a question I ask myself all the time. What is the most loving thing I can believe or do in this moment? Let that guide you. Because your beliefs shape what's possible for you. They shape how fair or unfair life feels. They shape who's right and who's wrong. And your beliefs will shape what kind of peace you'll allow yourself to experience. Beliefs aren't inherently good or bad. They're just powerful. And if they're misaligned with your truth, they'll create tension. So the work is simple but deep. Get curious. Get honest. And then get intentional. Core beliefs shape your identity, your peace, and your potential. When you become aware of them, you get to choose. Does this belief support the life that I'm creating? Or is it time to shift? Ask yourself these questions and see what comes up. This discussion continues, so stay tuned for part 2, where we're going to dive a little bit deeper into how to identify and rewire your core beliefs so they support your intention to live a purposely peaceful life. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. I hope something here met you right where you are. This podcast is for inspiration only and not a substitute for therapy. Please reach out to a licensed professional if you need support. I'll catch you on the next one.